I'm Chris, and this is another T-MAXX video. This is a 2.5. I got it today for $75. So for $75, this is all I got. No batteries, no transmitters. It did come with this extra body. It's the exact same dimensions, the fenders, length, the holes cut out for the front. So it is a T-MAXX body, but I need your help out there to identify what is it, what year, is this aftermarket, is it worth anything? Before I do anything to it stupid, I have no idea. I just got into these about a month ago. The body is just good enough to where it looks good, but we can bash it because it's not perfect. They cut that out. This is all smashed up. So I love this body. I'm gonna be running it just like that. I do videos on these when I buy them so that I can check them out and know what I have. I know I just did a video on a 3.3, but this is a 2.5. Some of y'all might want to see your 2.5. So we're gonna go step by step. Like if it's your first time, that's garbage. Okay, you have to knock all that out. Go wash this with Dawn soap and get all that crap out of there. So here's another locked engine. Try to spin the flywheel with your finger. If you cannot do that, be patient. Do not try to use tools in there to turn the flywheel. So this popped up on Marketplace, $75. I ran 30 miles to get it. It had no story. He just said he found it somewhere or something. I always ask that at first because I'd like to hear the story on it. So this is a completely unknown T-MAXX. Let's check the glow plug. Oh, okay, glow plug's good. Did leave it in there and it is gummy, so this has to be cleaned off 100%. Sliding carburetor, it is stuck. We can't move it. Don't force it. Let's look at their idle gap. That has to be the smallest idle gap I've ever seen. So since the engine is locked up, we pour fuel down the carburetor and down the glow plug hole. So we have a Tamiya Phillips screwdriver, Japanese stuff, and it fits these screws perfect. Everybody hates these Phillips screws because they're using the wrong screwdriver. The 2.5 is going to use this exhaust pipe. It's different from the 0.15 and the 3.3. It's going to exit right here. 3.3 exits over here, and the 0.15 exits through that hole. So these are usually in good shape. We just wash them off. All right, so I'll say anything bad about it. I'm just going over the general condition like any other mechanic would. It's nothing against the owner or who I bought it from. We just have to point out weird things. I brought that up in this video because so far I don't see anything weird on here. It looks like it was done right. The alignment looks good on it. The screws appear to be the correct ones. So I just take the engine straight off when they're locked up. So when you're restoring these, you don't have to cut the zip tie. Just get a safety pin or a needle, and that way we reuse the zip tie that came off of it. Okay, so they did have it hooked up right. Easy start. The wires are in very good shape. The plug in very, very good shape. But they were putting it on like that. You don't do that. You need to get some needle nose pliers so you don't destroy this wire. Okay, let's see if this engine's turning yet. Nope, locked up. Clutch feel good. Clutch feels fine. Is the carburetor moving? Nope. Okay, so we got the 2.5 in there. It seems to be complete. Nothing blown up on it. Ooh, they have a metal gear in here. It's the first metal spur gear I've seen. Let's make some other observations while we're here. That brake is way, way, way too tight. Check it. Oh my God. Dude, your brake is way, way too tight. I can't stand to see anything suffer, even if it's not alive. If I see a bug in pain, I help it. Animal in pain. I heard something screaming. I thought it was a baby in the woods, and it was a frog that got bit by a snake. And I got a stick and I hit that snake in the head. Pop! And it let the frog go, and then the frog just walked off like nothing happened. Saved the frog's life. We don't even need to try to prove this. You can just see how it was all squished up against it in a bind, like tightened too much. This is the second one I've seen with the brakes ridiculously tight. I bought a Revo with a blown up engine in it, and that brake was cranked down so tight. So if you're not sure, just leave a little bit of play in there. You'll have to push your trigger back farther for the brake to engage, but it's the same thing. Whether it's engaging at the beginning of the pull or at the end of the pull, it's just moving this thing a little bit like that. So your brake adjustment is done down there with those two screws. You get them very, very, very close. I guess they were trying to adjust the brakes right here. I don't know, but it was screwed up and now it's saved. So this fuel, when it dries up, it kind of turns into super glue. Not literally, but that's what it feels like. It's just a real hard bond. And when we heat it up, we're kind of melting that super glue. So carburetor's locked up still. Let's give a little thirsty boy a drink. So I'm new to Nitro RC. Is this stuff flammable? Like if I was to hit this with a torch right now, is it just gonna catch on fire? I really don't know. I have never messed with this fuel, glow engines, or none of this stuff in my life. But I'm not gonna try to heat it up when we just dump a bunch of fuel in it. So let's take this cover off. This exhaust is stuck. That's the first time I've seen that stuck. Okay, does this come off easy? Oh, it's stuck. Everything's stuck. You know what? I gotta heat it up. don't want to burn my tub. Bearings. No, it just boils the fuel, look. Come on, turn, baby, turn, baby, turn. It's not turning. So I've already heated it up. It should be moving about this point, barely giving it any pressure. We're not gonna force it. We just want to give it a little more. Okay, it turned, it turned. This engine might be good. So I was just gonna give it maybe 30 foot-pounds and it seemed to move at around 20. All right, let's take the head off of this thing. So I record everything I work on, but not every video makes it to YouTube. So if the video's on YouTube, there's probably some kind of lesson or message or just something I want people to pay attention to. So the reason this video is getting uploaded is because this is the most stuck, stubborn, nothing will come off of it engine. And we just want to see what it's going to look like on the inside and if we're able to save it. Okay, what do you think it's going to look like in there? Ooh, the worst one so far. Okay, well that looks fine and dandy. Oh, look, 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 look. There's the other lesson. Look at where it is. At first glance, you guys and girls, what do you see wrong? It's not only gummed up, it's stuck at top dead center. That's why it's being so difficult. So let's give it some more heat. So it is possible that this is like a brand new engine. It got stuck. They had no idea what was going on with it, and they burned up their easy start trying to get it to move. That's actually crazy because it's being so difficult to turn because we are at top dead center, and that's why it won't turn, because it's about to reach top dead center. And now we're coming down. So that piston might be brand new. We don't have to worry about trash being in it because it was just stuck at top dead center. When we have that much stuff in there, this just kind of needs to go straight to the Barry McKim dip. We don't need to keep trying to free it up. We need to get that gunk off of it. Let's try to get this off. Okay. See that heating it up. Ah. Oh, that is the most gunked up engine. Lesson in this video: you be careful with this kind of stuff, man. Look at this. This is the worst one. Just jelly in here. I've never seen one this bad. What is this stuff? Oh, okay, it's like hard jelly feeling. This is the worst engine that I've seen so far. I've had to put in the Barry McKim dip 3 times for 30 minutes and it's still gummed up. We got to pull the crank on it. Just look at all that stuff coming out of it. I don't know what that stuff is. All right, so that was super duper frustrating. We finally got the crank out, and these bearings are, like I said, I will over and over, the worst I have ever seen. There is this gunk in there, all inside the engine. You can see that stuff is all gummed up in the bearings. We've had these heated up, Barry McKim dip 3 times, and after we remove that bearing, you can see all that stuff in there. This sleeve right here, by far the most difficult one I ever had. As you can see, I had to come under there, and that's bevel, and I was trying to hit it with screwdrivers to knock it out. That does not interfere with the piston, but we're gonna deburr that when we put it back in there. But the sleeve is in real good shape. It has real good compression. I removed the little ring, but this is stuck, of course, like everything is on this engine. So we're gonna go and Barry McKim dip one more time. You can see, just like a watermark, how that was sitting in the bottom of the case or block. And remember, that piston was at top dead center, or almost top dead center. So it was just a combination of crap. But you see how we did on 2 sides? We were just trying to crack it loose, and it did crack it loose. This is a curved file. We're just trying to knock anything that's free off. We're not coming in contact with that bore in any way, and then whatever may have went to the outside. This kind of work is done in machine shops all the time, and that's the decision that you have to make as the mechanic. Is this thing going to work like this, or are you just being stupid? And you know, there's no point in wasting all this time to make a repair that's not going to work. So if there's even one thing that I'm concerned about, we have to replace the parts. You can see we got some WD-40 in there. It'll let you listen to the bearing, and it sounds fine. This bearing right here is 100% perfect. Now that we have the bearings inspected, they sound good. Let's put the crank back in. All right, so we're gonna give it a push down. Hopefully it'll drop in. Okay, it dropped in. Remember while it's still hot to grab it. Yeah, it's that hot. Remember to pull the crank back. Make sure it's bottomed out in there like it's supposed to be. And it is, we can see it, looks good. See if we can get this wrist pin in there. So remember, C. We got the curvy bevel on the bearing, we have the curvy cutout on the piston, and we have the curly Q little clip. And then it goes to the crank side. And the last thing you want to do is forget the orientation of this stuff. So now I'm gonna cut the camera off because I gotta get that little clip in there. All right, so I just grabbed a little clip with some needle nose pliers that fit in that hole. You just kind of roll it or spin it in there and you'll hear it snap. So we're gonna put some 2-stroke oil in this engine, but don't put too much. I put too much on one and it was hard to start. But just carefully get it all worked in there. And remember the correct orientation of the piston. Gently get it to fall in place. There we go. All right, so we're gonna get the piston on its lowest point. Remember the orientation, the little dot. There's a little dot right there. I was using 3-in-1 oil, but this should work just as good. The hardest sleeve I had to get out. So when I got it out, I took a wire brush and I scrubbed it. It did have that like gunky stuff that went into the cracks. Okay, so it's going a little bit. You're watching down and making sure you're not hitting that piston. Rotate the piston up into the sleeve without damaging it. So just kind of play around with it. Okay, there he goes. So once you kind of get it started a little bit, now you can try to push this down. Oh, it went right. Okay, there you go. That's the easiest one I had to put back in, but I did clean it up really good. Make sure everything's fitting together right. When the compression is really good on them, they'll feel so tight that it feels like something's wrong in there. Can't even get it to do a full revolution. It's so tight. All right, so I've already taken this thing apart like 5, 6, 7 times, because when I was putting it together and tightening up the flywheel, it would get crunchy. Couldn't figure out what it was, but I did notice this part. It's a coated washer, but it's a little bit bigger. I tested other flywheels, other bearings. I changed that front bearing out. I had no idea. Turned out I heated it up and melted it, but it's like a coated washer. It's a shim in case your crank is grinding. So let's put this back in, and it still might do it if that little washer don't seat right, because I melted it. But when I was spinning this, it was like grinding, like, and I tried it so many freaking times. Okay, see, now it's working with that little shim in there. I guess it wasn't machined right, and whenever you tighten it, you were tightening that bearing against it. I don't know, but it's going to tighten our flywheel up, and our little crunchiness is gone. I do not want to replicate that crunchy sound. It was very frustrating. And this is when you get good at stuff. I've only been into these just over a month, but I've already rebuilt about 5 engines. I've taken apart about 12 engines. I dive right into this crap, and that's why I'm not scared of this crap. So when that front bearing's out, there's a little hole, you get a pin, and it'll stab right in there on the carburetor. To oil that, make sure that's clean. All right, so on the starter shaft, you're gonna oil that shaft up. Check it in that bushing manually, make sure it feels good, make sure it's not tight. One side does look worse than the other. Remember these 2 little cutouts to the top, and we're going to use the new side. Okay, make sure the O-ring's in there. Get your crank at 6 o'clock. That's at 6 o'clock, and then carefully mesh them together. Just turn it, make sure it's engaged. Everything feels right. Everything's looking real good. Let me get this engine back together. All right, we're going to use a different head for it. This came with a lot. Fits perfect. I know it's for this because it matches the fins. All right, it's working now. All right, all the holes have been blown through, cleaned out. So you just start off flush. That doesn't mean it's going to stay there. So this was an older one, but it still works fine, so I'm going to use it. Turn it on, check the servo, put your hand on it. Okay, the servo's bad. So you can rebuild servo, so maybe that's something I'll do a video on. All right, so let's check the throttle out. Okay, throttle, servo works. Let's check the reverse servo. Ooh, the thing goes in the reverse. Whenever it's old, you need to make sure it's going back and forward all the way. We're gonna have to take this one apart before we actually start running it and clean that transmission up. It is shifting, but we'll find out in a little bit if it's actually going into reverse. This carburetor was way out of whack, and this throttle linkage and brake are way out of whack too. They had the brake tightened down so tight, you can see how it was squishing that little rubber thing, and that's just how they had it running with the throttle and neutral. Squish down brakes. So immediately unhook that, give them a rest. And another issue, this is my fault. I took the little arm off. I tell you in my videos don't do that. I did. And now look, we have it in the wrong position. It's getting stuck on the easy start motor. So hopefully I can get that fixed. See what happened? I didn't listen to myself. And I made a mistake that I may have to end up taking everything off. You can't take that easy start motor off. Okay, I think we can. We can. Oh, I gotta take stuff off. I hate that so much. Throttle trim, always set it to 0. So does it close all the way? No, it does not. All right, that's the problem. By default, they have their throttle adjustment all screwed up. Where this is positioned, it will never allow it to spring back where it needs to. This is not the first time I've seen this a few times already. Pull this one back. Okay, you don't want it touching, you want it some play. Now, see, we got that little bit of play in there, and our throttle is closed all the way. All right, so that's your tension on your throttle spring. They had it like that. I'm gonna give it a little bit more. So I like this a Brazilian times better. Make sure we go full throttle. Nice. So this movement right here is your brake. So when it's like that, it's open. So then when it's open, you go in there and see how loose this stuff is. And you can see it's way too loose. So we want to make the gap between this brake caliper piece and the screw the same on both sides. This one's been bent. It needs to come off and straighten, but we can't do that right now. So let's just put your finger there, break off, screws even with the caliper. Okay, so see how we adjusted the brake and now it was moving over there like that. Now it's only moving over here like that. Okay, all right, see that? We got a little bit of slack in there. That's all we need. All right, now we throttle, brake. Beautiful. Let's see the temperature. 91. Let's see the temperature of the wall. 92. What did I do? Why isn't that starting? I don't know. I don't know what just happened, why it didn't start instantly. Leaving it in the video to show you that even this stuff happens to me. I don't know. Brake. Brake. I love how this one just shoots the oil straight on your shirt. Ooh, what's going on with it now? Ooh, got hot. Is it running that lean? Well, I was revving the crap out of it, so. So whenever it does that, see it's warming up and it's dying, you're gonna have issues with your idle gap and your low speed needle or your idle needle. That's my experience with it so far. So I did close it back. I'm trying to get them to idle as low as possible, but let's just open that idle gap up just a little bit. I'm also noticing that these damn high-speed needles will actually move a little bit, so you got to get new O-rings in there and tighten them up. And also these 2.5s, I haven't looked in the book yet. I've been setting them to 3.5 because the 0.15 is 2.5 turns out. So I don't know. Anyway, you can see it's running pretty good. Check reverse. Stop. Alright. Probably with you, boy. Okay, why is it doing that? Okay, I opened up the idle needle a little bit. See if it's in reverse. Look, it's going in reverse. Alright, stop. Go back and forward. Great. Oh, it's running cold. All right, so you see that it's not running right, but at least it's not dying. So we know our problem is with our idle screw. So the only thing I'm hating about these easy starts on these T-Maxes is you don't have room to it. You can't see it that much to adjust that other needle. So just so you know, I work a day job. I have my 2 YouTube channels, so I'm not trying to start doing this for a living. Just bringing that up because I don't think there's really any money in restoring these, because you go through all that work and these people will tell you, oh, that's worth so much. And I always say, shut up, quit saying that, because if this is worth so much, give me the money for it. And oh, no, I mean, oh, that's what they're selling on eBay for. I don't give a damn what they're selling on eBay for. So now this is a candidate for restoration. Let's talk about my future T-Maxx videos, because I think we're almost done with them. Okay, so I see I have so many of these damn things, I'm already confused. The last video we did a 3.3. This one I got for 100. Worked out great. This is the best running one so far. The 0.15 that I restored, that's an old school shelf queen. I got to get stickers for the windows, but this will be a shelf queen that we can start up and run around real slow. Watch that video and you think I did a crackhead paint job. I didn't. I know how to paint these things perfect, and that paint job it's done beautiful. You might see that Rust-Oleum can and think I don't know what I'm doing. I turned a $75 one into maybe $125 now. You know, that's if I want to sell it, which I'm not selling any of these. So I have 5 of these T-Maxes now. So I'm gonna have my 0.15. That's just for slow driving and showing off. I'm gonna have a 2.5 basher and a 3.3 long basher. So it looks a lot better since I pulled some stickers off, but I ordered a whole bunch of stickers from Traxxas. We're gonna do a video on T-Maxx bodies. I have this one that came with this. We're gonna paint a short T-Maxx body yellow, and then we're gonna paint a long T-Maxx body. I have no idea what color yet. One of these T-Maxes came with this Hummer body. This is just trash in my opinion. I don't care for that. And unfortunately, just the way he cut the window out on this one, I don't like that one. I guess these go bye-bye. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.